Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hatha. Props today. 2 blocks, blanket, potentially a strap that you might use toward the end. Um, so let's just have a strap just in case. Take your blanket and roll it up into a bolster and have that bolster handy nearby you. And then it's time to drop in. So make a comfortable shape. Make any initial movements that are going to help you land well. And then begin to settle. So see how that settling is going so far. How have you released, relaxed in the body? And how might there still be some holding? Let's tune into the breath. What's the breath like right now? Is it moving pretty freely? Does it get stuck anywhere? Are your inhales and exhales relatively similar in length and depth? And how's the heart mind? What's the quality of your mind? Is it racing around? Is it sluggish? Somewhere in between? Let's take a few more moments here. Just getting a really good look at the internal landscape as we prepare for asana. Okay, you guys. So sometime in the next few rounds of breath, you're going to transition into a supported fish. And you can either use that bolster, that blanket roll that you made, or you can use your 2 blocks, whichever you prefer. Whoops, I'm throwing stuff at myself. So I'm going to go with my 2 blocks, which you can put either the blanket roll or one of your blocks right behind your shoulder blades. It's in the thoracic spine. So not down here in the lumbar spine, but up in the thoracic spine. And then if you're on a block, you'll put a second block behind the back of your head, either flat side or second side. If you're on the blanket roll, you may or may not need a flat side block under the back of your head. It's all about how your neck feels. If your neck feels easy and you can swallow and you've got some length in the back of your neck without a block, then cool. If not, use the block. And we'll start passive here. So just drape yourself onto your prop or props and let the chest lift and come back to your breath. See what it feels like to breathe into this shape. We'll be here for a few more moments. And then let's shift from a passive to a slightly more active shape. So engage your legs. Take your feet to about hip distance, roughly, and reach out through your heels. Press the backs of your legs down. Pull your belly button and your side ribs down toward the mat a bit. And then point your feet. Plantar flex. Reach out through your toes. Tuck your tail. And then go back and forth a few times, pointing and flexing the feet. Lift your kneecaps. Press the backs of your legs down. Lengthen your low back by tucking your tail a bit. And then reach your hands up, palms face one another. Spread your fingers and take your thumbs toward the ground any amount. So arms overhead, biceps are near the ears. Maybe the thumbs are touching the floor. Maybe they're working in that direction. Reach your fingers away from your feet. I'm still pointing and flexing my toes. You can keep doing that, or if you want to settle into one or the other for a few breaths, that's fine too. Last moments here. And then you can relax the muscular effort and come off of whatever is underneath you. If you are coming off of the blanket roll, keep a hold of it. If you're not, set your blocks aside, grab your blanket roll. So you're going to hold this up over your chest like as if you were bench pressing. Yeah, so I've got my thumb on the back side of it and my four fingers on the side that my face, I can see them. And my hands are about shoulder distance apart. You might have to go slightly wider, depending. You can keep your legs straight or bend your knees and put your feet on the floor for this one. We're going to inhale and take the blanket overhead. Maybe the backs of your hands can touch the floor. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to lift it up. Tuck your tail and engage your belly when you do that lift up. That's the action. So super simple. Obviously, this blanket roll doesn't weigh that much, but could you make it seem heavier than it is? So really pull it through space, really resist the landing overhead, and then really push it back up like as if it was really heavy, even though it's not. So getting a little shoulder mobilization here. And the very gentle beginnings of some weight bearing with the arms. Not much, right? Blanket weighs maybe a couple pounds, depending on what you're using. A few more rounds. Activate the arms. Keep the shoulders, the backs of the shoulders down on the ground. One or two more. This is a super old Teresa Murphy move from many years ago that I learned from her that I still like to dig out now and then. Okay, so when you're done with that, you can set your blanket roll aside. Feel into the body for a second, feel into the shoulders, feel into the spine. See how your gentle lifting work landed. And then if your knees weren't already bent, bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, hip distance. Let's take the arms into the cactus shape. And we're going to pick up a spinal undulation one. Inhale, arch the back, rocking forward toward the sitting bones. Exhale, whole back of the pelvis, whole back flattens into the floor. Inhale, lumbar spine lifts, sacrum lifts. Exhale, lumbar spine and sacrum glue down. Keep one of these. Sometime in the next few rounds of breath, you can let that action still, come to a neutral spine. From there, you'll widen your feet to mat distance and take an inhale. Exhale, both knees go to the left. Press your inner right foot into the mat and reach your right arm away from your right knee. Tuck your tail any amount, trying to feel some opening in the front of the right leg and hip. And then come back to center and sweep over to the other side. Same thing. Left foot this time really presses down into the floor. Reach the knee away from your left hand. Try to keep the back of the shoulder down more or less. And can you open the front of that hip? That's the action. Go back and forth at your own pacing a handful of times. So you might be moving one breath per movement. Right, inhale, legs lift up, exhale, stretch, inhale, legs lift up, exhale, stretch. I'm going a little bit slower than that this morning. You pick What serves you best in this moment? And you guys, the next time that you've gone to the right, come on back and take your feet back to hip distance and check in for a moment. See how that felt. And then take your arms down by your sides. And do the exhale of spinal undulation 1. So tuck your tail and flatten your back to the mat. Make your low back long. Keep that. Exhale and hover the back of your pelvis up off the floor. Squeeze your glutes and the backs of your legs. So you're tucking your tail, you're pulling your navel to your spine, you're hovering the back of your pelvis up. And you'll take some breaths here. And then at some point, you'll exit, put the back of the pelvis down, take a breath, and then you'll go back in. Tuck the tail, squeeze the glutes, lift up, go a little higher this time. And take some breaths and engage. Try to keep your knees right over your ankles, so not letting them go out or tip in. Right, nice hip distance. And then take another break and take a breath or two. And once again, tuck the tail and lift up a little higher this time. And now you're moving a little bit more toward a Setu Bandhasana shape. Your sitting bones reach for the backs of your knees. Breathe and engage and tone. And then rest. And then this time, take a breath or two, tuck your tail. And this time you're going to go toward however big of a Setu Bandha you've got at this point. So maybe you're just pressing your arms down into the mat. Maybe you want to grab the sides of your mat and pull and shrug your shoulders under you a little bit and lift your hips up. Maybe you want to interlace your hands. Might be too early for that. Might not. Either way, tuck your tail, lift your hips, squeeze the backs of your legs, dig your heels down into the floor, and breathe. And then when you need to come out, come on out and pause. Good, you guys. Widen your feet again. And drop your knees over to the left. And roll your torso to the left. And keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and keep going until you end up with the upper body in like a sphinx shape. And pull your belly button in and to the left. And reach the crown of your head away from your tail. I'm just realizing that my obliques are sore, which I did not notice until I did this. So this might be enough. And you try to roll your right ribs down toward the floor. And you stay with this action. If you want more, you can straighten your right leg. And you can tuck your toes under. And maybe you walk that right leg over to the left some more. You could also reach out through your right arm and see what that does. I happen to have the edge of my rug right here, and I'm pulling on it, and it feels awesome. That's just a total happy accident. And you guys unwind as you're ready. Come on back and take a few breaths. And then let both knees drop over to the right. And roll onto your right side. And keep going until your elbows can come down onto the floor. Sphinx style. And start here. Rotate the spine. Reach it long. Let those left ribs drop. And then maybe you're staying here. Maybe you're going to straighten left leg, tuck those toes under. Maybe you're going to reach out through left arm. Big breaths. Feel satisfied with that. You can come back onto your back. And then this will be the last supine moments. So neutral shape of your choice. Pause, check in. You guys, from here, we're going to make our way to the downward facing dog. So in your own time and in whatever way is most skillful, get yourself into a dog and make any warm-up movements you'd like to make in your dog. So stretching the heels down and back. Stretching the outer hips back and up. Push the mat away with all of your finger bones. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Shoulders over wrists. Have a look at your hands. You should be outer shoulder distance at least with the hands. Index fingers parallel, fingers well spread. Firm your legs and your belly and reach the crown of your head away from your spine. Exhale, press back dog pose. Push your chest back toward the tops of your thighs. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Exhale, press back dog pose. Good. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Lower your knees. So you're in a knee down plank. So it's not hands and knees. It's spine in one line, right? Shoulders over wrists. Knees are back a little bit. Zip your belly button to your spine and lift and tone your pelvic floor. And you might step your left hand in a little bit. You're going to reach your right arm out to a T shape. Pull your navel in, make your side waist long, reach with your right arm. Set the right hand down. Reach your left arm out. T shape. Breathe. Set your left hand down. Reach your right arm out on the diagonal, like a Y. Set it down. Reach your left arm out like a Y. Set it down. Reach your right arm straight up overhead, bicep near your ear. Belly in. Set it down. Reach your left arm up. Set it down. Lower your torso all the way to the ground. Take a couple of breaths. Tuck your tail. Firm your legs. Spread your toes. Inhale. Shoulders up, back, and down. Roll those guys. Hug the shoulder blades together. Hug the elbows into shoulder distance. Tuck your tail. Squeeze your legs. Lower down. Rest. Good second set. Lift up. Tuck the tail. Turn the legs. Cover the legs up off the mat. Lift with the glutes, with the backs of the legs. Spread your toes. Pull your heart forward. Lower down. Rest. Good. Third set. Roll the shoulders up, back and down. Lift up. Lift up the legs. Maybe lift up the hands. And then lower down, release the hands, rest your forehead, rest. Good. Press back. Child's pose. Keep the arms active. Extended child's pose. Arms lifted, fingers spread. Walk your hands over to the right. Reach long through the left side body. Side stretch. Come through center. Reach out through the right hand. Side stretch, child's pose. Lateral child's. And come through center. Tuck your toes, reach your hips down and back, or down and back, back and up. How about downward facing dog? Spread your toes, spread your fingers, firm your arms, firm your legs. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Go back and forth just a couple of times. Plank to dog. Shoulder warm up. Next time that you're in the plank, stay there. Okay, so we're going to repeat that arm sequence. Option to keep the knees up this time or lower them down. You might scoot the left hand in a little bit. Reach the right arm out to the side. Good. Switch left arm out to a T. Squeeze your legs. Good. Switch. Right arm goes to Y. Good. Switch. Left arm to the Y shape. It's not easy. I'm shaking. Left arm down, right arm straight out. Reach it straight up overhead. And then left arm reaches. Last one. Holy moly. Strong belly. Put it down. Lower down. All the way onto your belly. Phew. You guys. Roll the shoulders back and down. Firm the legs. Lift up baby cobra. See how that feels. And maybe grow bigger cobra. Keep the shoulder blades together. Shoulders out of your ears. Tail tucking. Heart lifting. Good. Lower down. Rest. Pause. Arms reach down by the sides. Exhale all your air out from your legs. Lift your belly button away from the mat. Inhale, lift up. Shalabhasana. Hands hug in toward one another. Legs lift. Heart lifts. Tail tucks. Good. Release everything down. Pause. This time, if it's available, interlace your hands behind you. Tuck your tail, firm your legs. Exhale. Inhale, lift up. If you can't interlace the hands, then you're repeating the last version. Good. Lower down. Release the hands, rest. Good. Press back once again. Active arm child's pose. Spine is long. Arms are engaging gently, right? Not massive engagement, but the triceps are lifting away from the floor. Good. Once again, take the hands slightly over to the right, not as much this time, and then lift up and thread your left arm under and find a twist. And you could walk this right arm up overhead. You could grab your left hand with your right hand and pull to get a little more twisty action. You could wrap your right arm around your back. Take a few breaths in the twisted, revolved child's pose. And then when you're ready, switch, come to the center, walk the hands just a little bit to the left, and then thread that right arm under. And decide which arm setup you're going to use. And take some breaths here. Good, you guys. Last moment. Come on back. Stretch it out long. Take a couple breaths. And then tuck the toes. Stretch the legs long. Downward facing dog. Your downward facing dog, stretch your right leg back and up. Three-legged dog. Square your hips, squeeze your legs. Set it down. Stretch your left leg up. Square your hips, squeeze your legs. Press your finger bones into the floor. Set it down. Go back and forth a couple of times. So I'm less interested in a big hamstring stretch here than I am in strengthening, in this case, the backs of the legs. So really squeeze that lifting leg, engage, get strong there. That's what we're looking for. Base of the buns, hamstrings. Let's do one more each side. Yep. Good, and then you can lower your knees. So our next setup is going to involve a set of knee down lunges. So if you would like to pad for that, go for it. And then let's grab our blocks and place them underneath the hands. So hands to blocks. Downward facing dog on the blocks. So press your chest back. You've got more space here with these blocks lifting. So press the chest back. Externally rotate the upper arm bones to get space between the shoulder blades. And then inhale, look forward and bring your right foot in between your blocks. And make sure your stance is nice and long here. So right knee stacked on top of right ankle, left leg fully extended. Lengthen your spine, reach long, and then gently lower the back knee down. Reach the heart forward. Engage your inner thighs like you were hugging a giant block. Lift and tone your pelvic floor, pull your low belly in and walk your hands up onto your leg. Lift the heart, roll your shoulders back and down. Hug your shoulder blades together on your back. Squeeze the back left glutes to support that little baby back bend. And then hands come back in blocks. Lift the back knee up. Step back, downward facing dog. If you'd like a little strength work, you could take a plank in between the two sides. Not required. And I'll take the left foot in between the hands. Once again, stack that left knee on top of the left ankle and fully lengthen out through your right leg. And then lower the back knee down. And turn on your core sheath. Inner thighs, low belly, pelvic floor. And walk the hands up. Reach the heart up a bit. Squeeze the right glutes to support that action. Hug your shoulder blades together. Good, hands go down. Step back, downward facing dog. Take the right foot forward. Lengthen the stance, lengthen the spine. Lower the left knee down. Engage and lift the torso. And if it's available, stretch the arms back. Lift the heart. Option to interlace the hands if that feels skillful. Squeeze the left glutes. Lift the side waist up. And then release. Lift the back knee. Step back. If you want the additional strength work, you could take a plank here. Step the left foot forward. Get nice and long. And then lower the right knee. Support the torso with your inner thighs, low belly, pelvic floor, and lift up. If you can do so safely, sweep the arms back and maybe interlace the hands. Alternate the grip. Squeeze the legs, lift the heart, breathe. Good. Lower down, raise the back knee, down dog. Look forward. Bring the right foot in between the blocks. Keep the back knee lifted this time. Arm the back leg, stack your right knee on top of your right ankle and spread your right toes. Bring the torso up. Lift up through the arms. Squeeze the back leg. Maybe heart can lift a bit here. Hands go down. Right leg goes back. Plank here if you want one. It's a fine line. We're trying to strengthen and prep the arms. Don't fatigue them too much. Arms and shoulders. Look forward. Bring the left foot in between the blocks. Get organized. And then come up on Janasana. Lift the sideways. Squeeze the right leg. Lengthen the left toes. Let's go down. Step back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe. Right foot forward. Left heel down. Virabhadrasana 1. Left foot's at about a 45-degree angle. Draw your right hip crease back. Bend your right knee. Lift up. Good. Big breaths here. Hands go down. Left heel lifts. Step to the dog. Decide if a plank would be helpful or not. Left foot steps, right heel spins. Warrior 1 setup. Root into the outer right heel. Dive into the left knee. Pull the left hip crease back. Pull the right hip point forward. Come up. Lift the arms. Lift the chest. Squeeze the legs. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw. Breathe. Good. Hands go down. Back heel lifts. Downward facing dog. So I know it's not vinyasa class, but option to take an up dog on these blocks if you want it. It's one of my favorite back bends. So Urdhva Mukha Svanasana with hands to blocks. If it feels good. Squeeze the legs, tuck the tail, lift, 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 push the blocks away. Good. And then lower to the knees and just check in for a moment. Just sit on your heels, hands to the lap. Breathe. Good. So using those blocks, we're just gonna flip around and sit. So now they're behind us. You're gonna bring your hands onto them. And I wanna note here that different hand placements may feel better in your body. So option to turn the hands out. Yeah, that's a lot better on many people's shoulders. So please feel free to turn the hands out or even all the way, fingers to the backs of the blocks. I'm gonna go hands turned out. These days, my shoulders do best with that placement. So your heels are a little bit in front of your knees. Your hands are behind you. We're going Purvottasana. So you're gonna push into the blocks, push into your heels, lift up, lift the hips. I like to keep my chin tucked in. My neck is just very finicky. Some people drop their heads back. I don't. I don't do that anymore. To my neck, to my cervical spine. It's not good for me. Squeeze your legs, lift your hips. Good, you guys. And then lower down. You can just sit and pause for a second. Good. Okay. Come back. You can just place your hands behind those blocks, but keep them there. Downward facing dog. When you're downward facing dog, lift your right leg straight back and up, three-legged dog. Open your hips, bend your knee, reach your right foot to the left, roll your right ribs down toward the floor. So as dog. Reach and stretch, and then return. And lift your left leg and open your hips and bend your knee and reach and stretch. And then return and do each side a couple of times. So this might feel almost vinyasa-ish, a little flowy. It might not. And then the next time that you've done the left leg, come back to your standard dog and step your right foot forward. Spin your left heel down, heel to heel alignment this time, or excuse me, heel to arch alignment this time. And you've got a block right here if you want it. Open up side angle. Breathe. Press your outer left heel into the floor. Reach into your right knee. Lengthen both of your side waists. And then hands come to the floor. Step back to the dog. Maybe you would like to take a plank here. Maybe you would not like that. Maybe you would like it, but you shouldn't do it. Maybe you wouldn't like it, but you should. Left foot steps forward. And that discernment, right? It's like, what do I want versus what do I need? Open up. Add the right arm if it's helpful. Pull navel in into the right. Reach, reach, reach the right side of the body so long. Wiggle your toes. Make sure you're not death gripping the mat with your feet. Down you go. Low lunge. Step back, down dog. Step the right foot up, low lunge. Catch your 2 blocks and stretch them out in front of you. Tall side, shoulder distance. Look forward. Spread your right toes. Push the floor away with your right foot. Lift up. Virabhadrasana. 3. Lift your left leg. Squeeze the back of the leg. Kick back through your heel. Lift. Engage your glutes and your hammies big time. Lower down when you're ready. Find your downward facing dog. Option to take a plank if you would like to. Or if you should. Shooting on you, as Teresa would say. But I'm not telling you what you should do. You are. Left foot steps. Reach the arms. Spread the left toes. Root into the floor with your left foot. Look forward. Gather your belly. Load it up. Squeeze and lift. Really engage the back of that right leg. So much you almost get a cramp. Square your hips. Lengthen your spine. Good, you guys. Lower down. Step back. Lower your knees. Sit hips on heels. Pause. Check in with your breath. Okay. Come forward. Grab those blocks. Swing your feet around. And come to lie on your back. So have your strap and your blocks where you can reach them. And lie back with knees bent, feet on the floor. So first up, Setu Bandhasana. Arms down by your sides. Feet about hip distance, maybe slightly wider. Tuck your tail, squeeze your legs. Lift up, interlace your hands underneath you if you can. Push the hands down, lift the hips up, tuck your tail, lift your heart. Lift, 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 lift. Good. Release. So, little assessment. If the Setu Bandha, the bridge pose that we just did, is a lot of work for you, it's hard, then you're going to repeat the bridge. If Urdhva Dhanurasana is in your practice, then you're going to have an option to take that shape. Now, you guys are at home, so you have to be smart, because I can't see you and I can't help you really, except a cue. So some things. It takes arm and shoulder strength to push all the way up in this shape, which is why we did all that prep work. Some people find it helpful to put their feet on blocks. I'm some people. I have short legs and a long torso. So that added length for my legs is useful. The other thing that I find incredibly helpful is to strap my thighs. And I go a little wider than hip distance. It feels better in my pelvis and my back if I go a little, just slightly wider than hip distance. Give myself a little space. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. And you can see, obviously, if you're going to try that with your feet on the blocks, make sure they're on your sticky mat so they're not going to go out from under you, right? Duh. So if I bring my feet onto the blocks and then my strap is at my kind of my mid to lower thigh and it's slightly wider than hip distance. So I'm going to go in this way for this first round and then I'm going to see how it feels. So fingertips point back towards shoulders. Let's not catch my hair. Palms to the ground. Hug the elbows in. Tail tucks. First, I'm going to push to the top of my head. That's where I'm going to go first. And gently, right? I'm not going to cram all, I'm going to keep my arms active. I'm not going to just like rest all my weight on the top of my head. I'm going to push up, put the top of my head down, hug my elbows in, tuck my tail, squeeze my legs, and then I can go up. And because I have short legs, these blocks, like there's so much more space in this shape for me here versus feet on the floor. So then when you want to exit, you make sure you tuck your chin, lay on the back of your head, back of your pelvis. Right. So I'm going to do a second set without the blocks. If you were watching and you didn't do a set yet, I'll cue you in. We can go together. If you're doing your own thing, do your own thing. Just do some more Setu Bandhasana. You could work your way into a supported bridge if that's what you're feeling like at this point. Pop those blocks under you. Do a passive bridge. You could certainly also repeat Shalabhasana or even go for Dhanurasana. Your shoulders are prepped for Dhanurasana too. Okay. Which is the belly down version of this shape, right? So this is Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow. So if you're going, maybe you've strapped your legs, maybe you haven't. You're gonna get those hands down. Fingertips face back toward your shoulders, elbows hug in. You're gonna tuck your tail strongly. Push the floor away strongly with your feet and your hands. Come onto the top of your head with an exhale. Hug your elbows in, tuck your tail more, engage your legs more, and push up. And then you breathe here, and you decide when it's time to be done. It's hard for me to talk in this shape, as you can tell. And then when you're done, tuck your chin, gently lower down. And pause. I really advise pausing in neutral. A lot of people, I see people all the time, like first thing, hug their knees in. You know your body best. Based on my years of experience and having good teachers, I would recommend just neutralizing first. My back is also sensitive, right? So yours might not be. Back bending is the hardest direction for my body to go. And it took me a long, long time to learn how to back bend without making my back cranky. Almost. Okay, you guys. So if you've got the belt on your legs, you can unclick it. So I'm going to offer up a few counter poses now. You guys, if you know me at all, you know that this is individual. So if you need something different, take something different. I'm going to go Luso shape overhead, wide feet, knees bent. I'm going to take a couple of windshield wipers back and forth. Releasing the lumbar spine. So then option to pause in the twist. So next time that both knees are over to the left, pause. And it might feel good to pull this right knee in and stack it a little bit deeper. Twist. You can switch when you're ready. There's no hurry. It'll take a little more time in your twist, you sure can. So especially if you did the upward facing bow, the Urdhva Dhanurasana, it's a big back bend. So taking some time to unwind can be pretty useful. So again, you stay there as long as you want. And then I'm going to offer one more counter pose. It uses your strap. Let's see if you guys have done this before. Big loop. Feet in the loop, elbows in the loop. And so not a big hamstring stretch here. Not the point. The point is to lengthen your low back. So I've got my heels almost, but not quite even over my hips. They're actually a little forward of my hips. So from here, if there are any other shapes that your body would like to make before you rest, please do that. And you have the option of resting in legs up the wall or like backs of the calves on your furniture or somehow. Like if you've got a couch or a chair nearby, you could take and just like do chair shavasana, right? With your knees bent and your calves resting on your furniture. It's a nice back release after back bending. You could put your blocks under the backs of your legs. You don't have to do any of that. You can take a totally traditional shavasana if that's what you prefer. So your rest in your own time. My dog is losing his mind, so I'm going to let him out. Final counter posing, final resting as you're ready. And start to make your way back. Take your time. Find your breath. Possibly you begin to make some small movements. Eventually, you sit comfortably. Try to stay nice and easy and gentle. When you do find your seat, close your eyes and check in. How's the physical body, the breath, and the heart mind after strong back bending practice? So we'll close practice with two hands together. May our practice of yoga help to provide us with the capacity for softness and strength, doing and allowing, participating and observing, balance. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful week.